Right, okay. Let's go over to let's go over Friday's trade. It's a bit laggy. I hate the lag so much. Uh, I don't think I can fix it. Um, so we had an S&T off highs on the. I'm not gonna switch between them, but I do remember we had an S&T off these highs, and it just came straight down, right? And then an hour into market open over here. Now I was interested because we recovered like this. Now, essentially, I was waiting for this setup, this to inverse, right? And it didn't. And then I actually will change to ES. Is this the right one? Second. 5th of September. Here we go. So the same situation on ES here. So it was this gap, and I was gonna wait for this to get inversed, right? It didn't, and we came back down here. Then we had another recovery here, right? So I think it was this one. And I entered off this inverse right here. Which I don't remember. I ended up losing. I don't know how much I lost, but it was a loss. I should have trusted this gap. This was the lesson learned. I need to trust this most prominent gap because look, we reacted off it. Essentially, I need to wait for this. Because look, right, I know this was overnight, but if we look all the way over here, literally on the market open on the, well, it'd be Sunday evening. Look, as soon as we hit that gap, I was have to, this is exactly what the trade setup was looking to look like. I mean, 1 to 2, I would have aimed for this as an external high, but look, it would have been a break even if this was this is a kind of what I want it to happen, but over here, essentially. It didn't happen. It was Friday. Look, we just chopped and chopped and chopped all day. So, yeah, I think next time instead of trusting these internal gaps more, I mean, it was still a good gap because look at the V-shaped recovery after a resweep. It was good. I don't remember if there was. Okay, so they both swept, but I think even did yeah, so NQ I think was this. It kept it chops and chops and chops up, so it was at least moving. Because I did a live test on it and it was at least moving. Where yes, I'm pretty sure just lagged, even though it gave the better setup. Yeah, look, we didn't even move up because the entry was here, so look, we were just chop, chop, chop. So it was like essentially like this, or somewhere around. I think I got my entry probably around here, and I was like here somewhere, or here. But yeah, look, we barely even chopped into where I could break even. My break even was here, which we never hit. So yeah, that's that trade. Now let's go to today's trade. Wait, what? Oh no. So we took 2 trades. One was a loss. We had a huge sell off in market open. Let's go over to here. Is my market open now? Why is my market open? Or was my analysis on there? I hate the lag so much, bro. I really need a better computer ASAP. But anyway, so yeah, London was a huge sell-off. Look, London's all the way over here, and it actually had a really good sell textbook. But yeah, huge sell-off. Some chop late London. Chop just kept coming down though. And then we did have this. Look, sweet V-shaped recovery based on this inverse setup here. I'll just mark it out. Great setup, really. And yeah, you just target all this relative equal high, all this LRL, and this 1 hour gap and 15-minute gap. Pretty decent setup. Now the actual setup we ended up taking was this here, based on it was a 30-second inverse, based on here. So if I move over to here now, so I know I'm switching between charts, but it makes sense. So yeah, 30-second look, we started layering in. I started layering more in to get like just more entries in, and then we were still here, and then we came up here, and then yeah, it just came down. We ended up getting stopped. Like I think some got stopped at different points. I got stopped on full risk on this. I closed early on this account, so it lost less. So yeah, essentially we look at, and then we flip bias, because I mean I was more bearish anyway. I understood the setup here, and I did trust my mentor's analysis kind of over mine, which should I do, should I not? It's a difficult thing, because I'm trying to find my own way, but I've not been using his confluences of everything he kind of uses this long, and he just knows, you know what I mean? I don't. So anyway, this is how, because this is what I saw. Look, with 15-minute gap and an hour gap overlaps, and look, we're delivering out of it. So I actually had, when he was looking for longs here, yeah, when he was looking for longs like a little bit later, I saw this gap here retested. It's a very small gap. Do you know what, maybe I'm better off marking it out on here. Can get rid of this breaker. It was here. Very small gap. Look, so we inversed it, we retested it, reaction. Now, safe stop above the swing high. I mean, it would have chopped up, so would I probably would have exited, I don't even know, somewhere around here after inversing these gaps. But again, I mean, the trade that we ended up taking in was much better. I mean, look, 1 to 3.5 at this external low. Now, yeah, so we ended up losing that trade, which was fine. And then we were looking for second entry, so we had this 5-minute. It actually was crossed over with a slight BPR, so a overlap of a fair value gap and inverse fair value gap, a balanced price range. So, because look, we respected it initially, which is why we were looking for those, and we had I believe we had a 15-minute BPR here. Yeah, like 15-minute BPR that we respected. It was good for longs. I did understand it, but we were also delivering out of a 15-minute and 1 hour gap. So it's like, which one do you trust more? So anyway, so we broke down here, and then we inverse this gap, and then obviously we created this mini BPR. So we tapped this fair value gap, tapped into the inverse, and then essentially it was just a 1 minute reaction from it. So as you can see, yeah, we tapped in, reacting out of it. Let's drop to the 30-second. There you go. So this 30-second close back out of it is when we entered, because it was a strong push back down. So yeah, stop loss above the inverse. Now you could be a little bit, you know, if you wanted to be stricter, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we started delivering. We broke even at this point here, which we never got to, and then as we got further down, trailed my stop loss more and more. Which reminds me, did I even... Yeah, we had a really good reaction. We started really pushing down, so I was able to trail my stop loss like here, which wasn't the biggest RR, but it was still locking in a little bit of profit along the way. I didn't want to take out positions because I had already lost you know, the other trade, so I at least wanted to make some decent profits, because I ended up losing 800 on the first trade, and look, you can see I'm up 1k on the day, 1%, so I already lost, like, we made 1800 on this trade. Obviously I trailed my stop loss, I ended up trailing it on this 15-minute fair value gap. I gave it some room just because I knew it might want to retrace and tap, which we did initially, but then obviously we just came up and now we're reacting upwards. So yeah, we're obviously climbing back up. I'm too fixated on what's actually happening right now rather than the trader talk. So yeah, it was a really good trade. I moved it up to where we actually got stopped. So look, a 1 to 5 which is insane now. At the TP, it was a 1 to 7.5. Look, we just tapped it. Obviously, I was gonna fully close, but like, you know, I could have always took half and then trailed my stop loss more aggressively, but you know, it was still a good trade nevertheless. Okay, now we're lagging. So yeah, it is what it is. I made a really decent amount as well, even on my alpha account. So look, 800 plus I lost 800 today, so we ended up making like 1400, 1500 on this later trade. So yeah, I'm up 1.5% now, is that? Yeah, so I'm 3%, I'm up 3% and I've got another 3% to pass, so I can't complain, bro. But yeah, that's about it. So looks like we're filling more, no, 30-minute gap filled now. So yeah, I just think this price is just tailing out, and we did have an S&T at the lows on ES, though ES already took out the lows here. So yeah, pretty good trade. And then it was when we inverse this 5 minute. When we inverse this 5 minute, we trailed a sort of small, put it above literally just above the fair value gap, or even this 5 minute lower high, and then yeah, it just kept flushing down, which was great. But 1 to 5 hour, I cannot complain. It is disappointing. Look, 97 points with a 20-point stop loss. It is disappointing that we didn't hit the full TP, because look, 1 to 7, that was so good, bro. But yeah, that's about it really. So I'll be back tomorrow. Who knows what's news for tomorrow, bro. But I need to get a payout so I can get a better laptop. I think that's one of the first things I'm getting. I'm paying myself and getting a laptop. Here we go. So that was today. Look, 3 p.m. So we waited for news as well, because we saw our setup, but we were so close to news, so we waited. And then tomorrow, there we go, more 3 p.m. news, red folder as well, which is great. Thursday, another great day, PMI. And then we have unemployment claims, non-farm employment change. There we go, another non-farm employment change, but that's all pre-market, so every day looks good. I can trade rest of the week, so there's no rush in the trade. I've just got a banger trade today with my mentor. And then, yeah, we missed out on the first one, but it just goes to show, because look, we were just patient, we waited. I actually did see this setup on the downside, so if we delete that now, I was actually looking here, because there was this big inverse here, right? So I was actually interested in this. And I didn't fully go for it, but again, I think it ended up being low. Even that would be a similar hour, but I suppose it depends where you put stop loss. So again, similar hour to what we were actually going for. And like I said, if we got stopped out there, look, 1 to 6 over. I don't know why that's. Oh no, mine. Why is that so different? I'm so confused. Oh, it's the entry point. I think our entry points are slightly different on each account. And I took this on my FTMO Phase 2 challenge, and offer £400 risk got 900, so just over 1 to 2 risk reward, which was good. But yeah, that's it. and I did lose the first trade. So like I say, I'm so down on that account. I'm like 8% down on it. So I need to make like 13% to pass it, which is fine, but it's just going to be a slow grind back. But yeah, so I've got that. I got this 100k top set, which I ideally want to pass this week because, well, no, I literally will pass or fail it this week because I'm going to be increasing the risk because I've got a rebuild next week and I want to pass it like before the end of the week, either tomorrow or Thursday, because otherwise I'll get a rebuild and I really don't want to pay a third month of this now, which is ridiculous. But yeah, that's it. I'll do a recap tomorrow.